This e-learning lesson is going to cover correcting invoices. We will find the invoice that is incorrect or contains the incorrect procedure, cancel the event, change the incorrect procedure, rebill the horse, and then either print out the invoice or the summary with all the invoices based on what your need is. We'll go to Wise Option and go to the Customer tab. Select the customer with the incorrect invoice, and then go to the account. This will show a list of all the invoices for the last month. If the period is different, it's an older invoice, just change your starting from date. Select your invoice. Mine happens to be invoice 455. I can double click on it to see the procedures contained in that invoice. And for this example, perhaps I agreed with this client not to charge a foaling fee. So this is the invoice I'd like to correct. I'm going to close the billing detail. I'm going to select the invoice one time and click Cancel Event. It's going to ask if I'm sure. I can say yes, and the event has now been deleted. You can see that now there's an unbilled procedures amount that should be relevant to the procedure amount for that invoice. We're going to close it, refresh the horse list. The invoice was for Hope by Envy, so I'm going to select her name one time and go to Billing. This is going to be a list of all of her unbilled procedures. Now, I happen to have in my system set up to where I don't bill for procedures of value of 0. You can learn more about that on the Billing Day Checklist e-learning lesson. So for this, I'm simply going to bill these 4 procedures. And I mention that so that you would understand why there are previous months procedures in here. However, they all have a value of 0. So again, for our example, my agreement was that I wasn't going to charge a foaling fee. I can now double click on that foaling fee, and maybe I want to leave it on there, but I want to change the value to 0. Can save it now. And again, the foaling fee was done on 2/27. I didn't change the date, so I really want to do it in the past. Say yes. Procedure's been updated, and now my foaling fee is a value of 0. Now, since I'm on this one horse, I want to show that the client that I did leave it on there, so I will select these 4 tasks to be rebilled. They were the tasks on the original procedure, or on the original invoice. With those selected, I'm going to choose Bill, and we are going to leave the horse in the boarding list, so we can say yes. The default date instead of today is going to be the end of the month. I'm correcting a bill from earlier on, so I'm going to do 2/28/07 and say OK. I have now billed it. It has a new invoice. Remember before it was invoice number 455. Now it has a new invoice number. The total has been changed. And here's where I can print a single invoice if I want to. I can say yes and print that. It will come right out on the printer, or I can say no. For this example, let's assume that we're at the end of the month and I have found a mistake on an invoice and I need to send him a new invoice, a new summary statement and all that. So I can print the bill here if I want to. I can say no and close this, create a new invoice, and his account has been changed. So I'll go to the account, and if I were to go to my new invoice, which is right here, and double click on it, I can see that my foaling fee value of $350 was changed to a value of 0. Here is another option to print just the invoice. I'm going to close this. Now, with my date starting at 2/1, this is going to be all the invoices for the month of February. I can choose to print here and, again, include any of the institutional messages you'd like. I'm going to skip through this. Now is when I can choose to print out just the summary statement or each invoice. If it's the end of the month and he's got 5 invoices for the month and the other 4 are correct, I can choose to just print the summary statement and then just go to that invoice and print it out. Or you can choose to print all of it. I'm going to say no so that you can just see the summary has been changed. Again, yours is going to print straight to the printer. Mine prints to the screen for demonstration purposes. And this will be the new invoice with the new total due. So from here, we have learned how to find the invoice on the customer's account, cancel the event, change the incorrect procedure, rebill the horse with a new invoice, print that invoice only, or print the summary with all the invoices or a combination of both.